Giddens. I am one of the partners and owners of A Virtuous Touch Salon and Spa, who I partner with my daughter. We are partners in business, and I'll tell you how that came about. But right now, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I have been a stylist in the industry, the beauty industry, full time for 23 years. I started out from school. I went to my first salon was actually a great experience, and that employer became a friend of mine and soon later became my partner in business. She made me a partner within her business. And so for 17 years, I've thrived in this beauty industry as a full-time hairstylist. And I went from a junior stylist to a senior stylist. And now I'm operating in as a master stylist at in the industry. One of the things that transitioned me later on was that my partner and I had a business divorce. And so with that, I started my company, A Virtuous Touch Salon and Spa, 5 years ago. And during that transition, it was really hard. Us as women, when we are transitioning from one thing to the next, it is a grieving process because that transition was hard for me because that company was all I had known for 23 years. For 17 years. That company had instilled so much in me, and I bought into the vision of that company. And so I operated as if that vision was my vision. And so it was like an adoption, you say. So for me, those 5 years ago, I had to transition and I had to, I felt like start all over again. And so for a while, I had to, grieve the process. But in business, you don't have time to stop. You don't have time to, get over yourself. You don't have time to sulk in your feelings and your emotions because business still has to run. And so, I gave myself those times to grieve, but also on the other hand, when I knew that I was transitioning from one place to the next, I used my own funds. I was working hard and using my own funds, and I had sacrificed to not spend any money for at least 1 month once I made the decision that I was transitioning. And so all of my money went into starting up A Virtuous Touch. And so I wish I had my book because I would share with you guys, but I have this 5 subject notebook. And that notebook has been the guiding light in my life because I am a planner. And planning gets you to a position or a place where you can see your growth and you can see the dreams and aspirations that you write down are coming into fruition. But what another thing that it also allows you to do is basically look at it and say, what have I not done? And so we get all caught up in life and business, and sometimes we forget about those things that, we said that we needed to do, or key points. And so that book was the guiding factor to my planning A Virtuous Touch. And I planned it everything strategically from the foundation part of it. And that was starting out with paperwork. The one thing that I do know as a professional is that we sometimes start businesses and we start those businesses and we go all the way to the middle and like, I need a place to do this business. I need all of these different things. However, we forget that we need to legally, do paperwork and become a legal entity of within a business. And so that was my main priority because I had saw some things that I didn't, I thought business was really, really hard. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work, but some things we make hard because there are consequences to our actions without doing or taking the necessary steps to do things the right way. And so I thought that it was extremely hard. And what I had come to find out over that period of time was that it wasn't hard. You just had to lay the foundation first. And that foundation started with legalizing yourself as a business and knowing specifically what that vision and that business plan looked like. And so here I am, a virtuous touch had come about. I used my own money, and I believe that it was about $5,000. All I needed was a place, and my clientele followed me. And that's another thing. When you know your client, when you know your clientele, and when you serve them well as a leader, as a owner, or just in the service industry, people will always remember how you made them feel. And when you value people and not value them as a dollar amount or a dollar sign, when you value them for who they are, the reward is you are going to get paid and compensated within your business. But the thing is to value people and to value what you're doing and to love what you're doing so that you're able to make an impression within those people. So because I did that, I knew to make an impression with my clients. I knew to make them feel like, they couldn't go anywhere else. My client base followed me. About 85 to 90% of my clients followed me from my home place when we had the business divorce to the next transition place. And that transition place was a salon where I was operating in a suite. So here I am, this traditional salon entrepreneur that grew up in the salon. And what I mean by salon, I mean with the team, a brick and mortar. Now I am going into this sweet life that actually was not for me. And I knew that from the beginning. I stepped in it, but God assured me that you have to transition through this place. And so I knew that I needed to go there because otherwise I would have stayed in my comfort. And so for that journey, I was very uncomfortable. So that place was where I built the foundation, the branding of a virtuous touch. And what I know about foundation is that it's the hardest part. It's hard. If you think about cement, it's hard. You lay the foundation, but that's not the part that people really see. It's the part that, people don't see because the rest of the house relies on the foundation of that business. I mean, the foundation of the house and what they lay down. So, that's the thing in business. The foundation is very important. However, you can't post it on social media. You can't take a picture of the foundation because it's the hard work. It's the grimy work. It's the work that propels you in the long run. So I would say, for 3.5 years, I was laying down a foundation. I was making mistakes. I was learning from those mistakes. I would get tired and I would go and throw myself into somebody else's vision and run their vision. Though when I did that, I actually it was beneficial to me at that time. But it's just like when you are grieving in a process, you run away from the thing that grieves you. And so that was my journey from where I was within those 17 years and journeying into laying the foundation for a virtuous touch. At the time, my daughter had worked with me at the salon for a very long time. she had grew up in the salon, to say. So she left, went to college. Actually, she went to hair school, um, trade school, Carver Vocational Technical School, but she was doing her trade and her education at the same time. So when she graduated from high school, she also had the opportunity to take her license and graduate from the cosmetology program. And so her thing was she didn't want to do that full time. She wanted to go to school. So she went to Delaware State, stayed there for a year, and then she realized that wasn't what she wanted to do. She wanted to come home and she'll pursue her degree at home. So with her doing that, we were still separated. So at a point, and when I transitioned to the second salon, which was still under the same company, they just moved. And so that actually gave me access to a larger space. It made me feel like it was my space, and it actually allowed me to put the different aspects of salon in its natural place. And what I mean by that is that salon to me has its own zones. We have your front desk, you have your waiting lounge, you have your cleansing area, you have your design area, and you have your dryer area and retail. You also have your color bar. And so for me, all of those are separate entities within themselves. And that's you taking your client through a process of enjoying every aspect of your business or your salon. And so for me, they all had different entities. So being in the suite, everything is compartmentalized together. And that was the one thing that I didn't like. I didn't like that my clients miss the ability to flow through the salon as if they are flowing in and flowing out. It's the operating cycle of our business. And so I had to adjust to that, not even at the first place, but at the second place. But when the second place also was opportunities for me to grow. So after a year of being in that place, which I was in my small little suite, it was larger than the first one, but it was a little larger, a little bigger. And so I expanded and knocked down the wall. At the time, my daughter had come over and started working with me again in the salon. However, she was operating at up the front where it was an open and full salon because I didn't have space for her. And so, I saw her growing. It actually, as a mother, helped me because then I can see what she was doing, what I can help her out with in her business, what she was missing. And, for her, that was her feeling like, she needed to be close to me because the couple of salons that she had gone to after returning from school, she felt like she had already gotten a lot from her mom and the other partner that we were with. So for her, she was like, it's not like that out here. So she wanted to be back close to me so that I can help her. And that's what happened. Though she wasn't directly in my space, I still was able to help her, or she would come ask me questions, vice versa. I became her actual mentor to help her continue to grow the business. And so once we expanded that, I had expanded beyond that was the furthest I can go. We started looking for a salon space, and then that space, I had some aha moments with that. And those aha moments was physically, I might have looked like I was ready, but financially, I wasn't. And so the thing about us in the salon and salon owners that sometimes we are used to starting our business with our own funds. And so what I knew was that I needed to put myself in a better credit situation so that I not only was good in the business world, but I also was balancing myself as a financial trustworthy person when it comes to credit. And so I realized that the two things that I kept separate for all of these years, which was me and the business, I always looked at it, it was a separate entity. because there were sometimes I couldn't pay myself within the business. That's something that you have to deal with within a business, not being able to pay yourself, but making sure all the other operating factors get taken care of, or employees as well. And so that's another thing that you have to, worry about when you are starting a company, and within the first 3 years of you building that company, that sometimes the person that owns the company takes home nothing, but you can build yourself up to a place where you make sure your salary is set within that company as well. And that's where we are now. However, moving forward to, that space and looking for a salon and realizing that, oh, Danielle, you don't have a lot together as much as you thought you did. And that just gave us time to start getting things together. But in the midst of that, we had to transition again for other reasons that was not any fault of our own. And that's where we ended up at Solar Salons, which another suite, my daughter and I had 2 suites across from each other. But the one thing I want to point out is that regardless of me being uncomfortable and me being in the different suites and not being in my comfort, my salon, traditional salon space, or the idea of what makes me comfortable as, a person and a visionary. In the midst of all of that, you still have to show up and run your business as if you're comfortable. Run your business as if you're excited about it. Run your business as if you will constantly continue to drive your vision and the salon culture, so that you will not give up. And once I realized that I was already operating in a salon culture, but once our vision and our missions and our core values aligned with who I was as a person, then my daughter came on and we was like, okay, that didn't work. We're in the suites. Let's build these things together. And what I mean by building these things together, we were separate financially. So what we did was we talk about bringing ourselves together to be more of a company. The first thing we did was we merged our accounts together. So, and that meant we also had to fix our paperwork. So she became vice president of A Virtuous Touch while I was president. So once we did that, and then we merged our bank accounts together, then financially, the anybody that wanted to see or needed information about A Virtuous Touch could see actually how much money we made together if we were in fact partners. So legally, we made the transition, and then we both had goals to make sure we saved money for the business, for ourselves, but worked on our credit. And that was the gist of what we were doing for the last 2 years within business before 2020. And so in 2019, we had basically, gotten to the point where our plan, we can see the results of that plan. And that was to have a high credit score, that was to have money in the bank, and to actually be able to operate within our salon, and all of the systems that we created. And so with that, our mindset shifted, and we had planned in 2020 to literally start looking for our space. And so once we came into 2020, that was the first quarter, was our team meeting. And that was the conversation with us creating visuals to our vision, not just us as a salon, but us as individuals. And so what we do, that's something that we do when we have team meetings. We have them quarterly, and that is with 4 of us. We are a salon with a team of 4. That does include an apprentice who is coming to the end of her program, and it also includes a stylist who's been with us for a year. However, she's been a salon, she's been a licensed cosmetologist for since 2006. But she had been in and out the business, in and out the industry, and between corporate and um, the beauty industry because she couldn't get her foundation wasn't set, and it was like it wasn't enough. Life sometimes predict whether you can stay here and try to make it or tread, or whether you can go and get a job and have some type of stability. And so that was her story. And what she realized in the last year that she's been with our company is that um, she appreciates the mentorship and the growth and what we do as a company to help her grow. So we are a team of four, and we get together quarterly to make sure we are tapping into each other, helping each other, and we have goals, company goals, and that everybody's independent goals are coming to pass. And that's where I and my daughter comes in, Takira Caesar, as the visionary and the leaders of A Virtuous Touch to help others in this business. And what I realized in the interim of that, I took this leadership class at my church where my pastor did entrepreneurial leadership. And just to make sure that I was doing the things that I needed to do. And I learned so much from that class. But the one thing that I took away was when you have a vision, that vision and that dream encompasses other people and not just yourself. When you're operating in those things yourself, it's just goals that you're completing or you are um, checking off your list on your own. And that is the one thing that I appreciate about me as a person, our company, and what we stand for is that I am here to help other people, other beauty industry stylists, or whatever you are in the industry, to get a sustainable and successful place of business. And right now we are enjoying that sustainability. But it took a lot. And so going back to our last 2 years at Solar Salons, we were very uncomfortable. We still had our vision and our goals. And at one point, I had gotten to the place and I was like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I see results? What is it that I'm missing? And that book that I told you guys about was the one thing that I went back to, and I opened up that book and I started from the beginning and I flipped the pages, because if I completed something, it would fold the pages in. If I didn't, the pages would still be in full. So I went through the book and looked over the things that I did not fold in, and it was a full page. And the most important part, remember, before I tell you what this was that I missed, remember in the beginning, I said foundation was important, and foundation is important. However, if you miss some intricate things of that foundation, it is not going to support your vision, or you don't see it in its entirety because you haven't even allowed yourself to go and think ahead so that you can see that this vision looks larger than where you are. And so in me looking through my book, I realized that I did not have my business plan written out. Wow. How did I do that? So though it had been on my list for years, and that second year was when I was supposed to write it, I did not write out that vision. And so that was my priority in January 2020. It was like, I'm going to get this vision down so that when I present to a company, they will see what my vision is beyond them seeing me in a suite. And that's the thing. It's like when you pitch your vision to someone, or that is a resource for you to get to that level, you have to have those key things in together for them to be able to see beyond what they see now. And that's what we set out to do. We actually had a conversation with the Pikesville Chamber of Commerce to look at the programs that they had to help small businesses. And then they referred me to the business development department to make sure that my business plan was in fact together for me to proceed forward. And in me doing that, what happened was, one of the things that happened with that was COVID-19 hit. Literally, COVID-19 hit. So I had completed my business plan. And after I completed my business plan, I had this appointment to meet with the business development department of Baltimore City. And that was the next phase for us to, gain and open up the resources for us to move in our vision part of A Virtuous Touch. And the day that I had my appointment was the day that our governor shut down the entire state. So, of course, it was a bummer for me. However, I was looking at more so, I was looking at safety. And, at the time, this whole situation was scary to us. And so we're talking about ending the first quarter of 2020. This year that was supposed to encompass so much for us as business owners, literally, I thought just got chiseled down to, now you won't even be working. And so it was very uncomfortable to operate in COVID-19 as a business owner, because out of the 23 years that I've been in this industry, I have never not worked. I can count on one hand out of those 23 years how many times I didn't go into the salon because I was sick. Maybe had to leave home, but called out. I don't know what that is. So the ability to take away something that you've done for years nonstop was very unsettling, very uncomfortable, and fearful and scary, to say the least. So when COVID-19 hit us as a salon owner, I had to gather my thoughts after about a week that I was operating in, us being home. I had to gather my thoughts, and those things, I had to tap into my spirituality, because at that moment I can only rely on God and what He wanted me to do to transition in this, and how could I help my employees and my clients. And so after about a week of processing it, and what I realized was that you have a husband. Let's be grateful. And so he is working. He can take care of home. You don't have to worry about that. And I also started doing online education, and in one of the online education, it was a wealth building webinar with my pastor. And one of the things that he said was, during COVID, call all of your creditors to make sure that your credit is not affected. And that's what I did. It was like, okay, wow, I'm not going to lose my credit score that I had worked so hard to gain. And so that's what I did. I called personally, I called my creditors, and we went through the necessary steps to let them know right now this is what's going. They were actually very receptive. We were able to put some things on hold. And then I went to the next week of how do I generate some income? And so, what we did to generate income as a business was we thought about the most important people in our business, and that was our clients. So, just as well as we were having a tizzy about being home and not being able to work and not being able to be behind the chair, what we realized was that we still had control in tapping in and communicating with our clients. And so, the one way we've always done that is email marketing. We do emails quarterly that go out about whatever is happening within the salon, or highlighting different things. And so the one thing that we did was, we sent out a prayer to, hopefully cover our clientele and, to allow everybody else to be focused on, the higher power as opposed to what's happening out here, and just have faith. And then the other thing we did was we actually implemented virtual consultations. And so those virtual consultations were the beginning of us delivering product to our clients' front doors as a safety precaution, and for them being able to pay two different ways. Through Cash App, we would send, they would send Cash App, or we would send an invoice through our processing company. And so that then made me feel like I was in a salon, because every day I woke up, I came downstairs, I opened up the computer and I went into our salon software. I checked our email, I checked our text messages so that we can, attend to our customer base that we have built. And our customer base is within the system is about 1,000 clients, but we see roughly about, I'm going to say about 200 people per month within the two of us, but that has now grown with us, with it being another stylist along with the apprentice. So, for us, it was about taking care of those clients. And so we created a system to do that. We also created packages where people can help us and not just feel like I can give them money and they can get something in return. So we created those packages, home care packages. It was bundling packages that if they bought 5 of a certain service, they can get, this and this for free. We created at least 3 packages, and we did the home care deliveries to cater to our clients and the virtual consultations so that they wouldn't feel like they were left out high and dry. And because of that, we kept our entire client base, and we were able to transition back into the salon. Now, the one thing that really honestly affected us this year, I also thought to myself, well, we're not going to have a salon this year. It's not going to happen. COVID just ruined us moving to a salon. So I thought. So the one thing that changed was that, the amount of clients that we saw when we went back into the salon. But mind you, we went back into the salon the beginning of the 3rd quarter. That was June. So we had worked almost the entire 1st quarter, but we were out of work almost that whole 2nd quarter. And what is the intricate important part for a salon when you talk about the 2nd quarter is that we missed all of the major holidays or things that spike up our numbers. And so the 2nd quarter can be high, and then the last quarter can be high because of the holiday seasons. We miss tax season. For some people, we miss Easter. We miss spring coming out because that's when some people come out of hibernation. They want a new look. They want to look good. And then we miss Mother's Day. So for us as a salon base, we miss a huge amount of our profits for the year. And for a virtuous touch, that would amount to $50,000. So for us, it was kind of like it put a damper on what you set out to do within the year. But it wasn't such a damper at all. So we went back to work. We put in these intense measures for COVID-19. Of course, I told y'all we were in a suite. And because we were in a suite, we normally could see 3 to 4 people at a time, maybe 6 with the both of us together, 6 or 7. That 7 max got dwindled down to at one point 1 to 2 people at a time in each suite. Well, 3 people because within both suites. So it was okay because we were coming out of all of this, is it safe? So we went from seeing the first 2 to 3 weeks, we went to from 1 to 2 people at a time. And then over, once we got into 6 months and we saw that the system was good, everybody was good, nobody was being affected. Our measures to clean up and what we had put in place for COVID-19 was actually a success because we didn't have any scares or anything. What we did was we added on another person to be able to be within the suite at that time. So we still was operating within our max. What we had to do was actually, we had to ask the suite owner, could we use another suite? Because now the summer is coming and people want braids. And we were trying to do all of these things with keeping up the COVID measures, but it got to the point that we had to look for this. We had to take care of this suite. We were working in this suite every single week, at least twice a week. So the SBA funding, during that process, we started out with, looking at all of the different fundings and all of the things that were available to me as a company. And so we did get some funding. We applied for the funding, but I thought that funding was just initially, that was all we were going to get as a company. But that was just the initial to what they were giving you right away to help you as a company. And then what they came along, and because they looked at our financials and they checked out everything as the company, what they came back with to give us an SBA loan was like, it blew me away. Because when I started banking 3 years ago, when I started banking with BB&T, I sat down with a business banker and we walked through some of the things that I wanted to do as a company to bring this vision to full fruition. And one of the things that he told me was that, okay, I don't qualify. I won't qualify for an SBA loan or a line of credit. But once I build my credit and get some other things, tagged on, then I would be able to do that. And so that was my quest from that point, because I had taken that information and I was able to add on what I needed to us as a company and us individual to get to a different point. And so that SBA loan not only afforded us the ability to, when we accepted the loan, it not only afforded us the ability to be able to sustain our salon, it also afforded us the ability to move into our own brick and mortar salon space. And I am still operating in the surrealness of it. So this whole year has been crazy. It has been definitely uncomfortable. We have gone through some devastation with people losing family members, um, us losing profits and the ability to, run our businesses, not knowing how these things will turn out. And the one thing that I thought would not happen for a virtuous touch in its dream was for us to not be able to be on the track to move into our new location. However, that was not true. We moved into our new location in November 1. Our first day of operation here was November the 4th. And we started this process in August, dealing with we called our commercial realtor that we had, talked to him about it. He asked some very, questions, is everything okay from the last time? So, it felt good to be able to go back to somebody and that they see your growth as a company and where you are, as opposed to where you were when you were looking for a space 2 years ago. And so that was the one thing that I appreciated, that he was willing to help us again. And that doing that, he got to see our growth as a company and where we were. And now we are operating in our own brick and mortar space, which for COVID, most people would think, I don't think I would be able to do that, because people are closing businesses and not being able to sustain. But when you have your foundation and you do things successfully and you operate in your principles and your culture, and you plan out, sometimes God takes those plans and he make them greater and present greater opportunities for you than you could have thought of. So the one loan that we were preparing to get, we got already through the SBA funding, which came through COVID-19. So it wasn't the end of a virtuous touch. 2020 is actually the beginning and the manifestation of a virtuous touch's dream, the dream salon. And that was to go back to traditional salon where our clients can have their operating cycle through the salon and their experience, and it be the experience that you always wanted to give the clients, so that they can have just a retreat from their stressful lives. It is for us to empower as a company, empower and encourage, promote wellness and health through our beauty services. And that's what we stand for as a virtuous touch. And so we are now currently operating and seeing almost the fullness of our capacity of what we were prior to COVID-19, because we are operating in a larger space. And because we're operating in a larger space, we have implemented social distance, and, people can fluctuate away from each other. So that is the one great thing about us being in this space. And then also being able to carry out the vision and the dream that has been manifested for our company. And so as a virtuous touch, COVID-19 did nothing but exposed the areas of hard work that we had done as a company and propelled us forward. And that was because we laid the foundation. We did the groundwork. And and you also have the ability, you have to have the ability as a business and as a leader to pivot when challenges come into play with your business. You have to be able to remove your emotions and to be able to tap into your clients' and the people that the investors of, you know, your business daily, the people that keep it running, the people that make your vision, you know, come to pass. And so when we thought about those people and put us at the back burner, that's when our minds were able to pivot into, here's what we're going to do while we are home during COVID-19. And so sitting home at a computer and creating those packages also created $8,000 in revenue within 1 month, not being in the salon. To some people, it might don't seem like a lot, but to us, it was a lot because we were not doing the actual work and what we knew how to do, which was to actually do services to our clients. We actually had to pivot and be able to, you know, put on our business hats and operate not as, because in the salon, you're wearing several hats. You're operating as a leader, you're providing services to the client as a stylist, you know, you are operating as an owner. So you wear several hats when you are operating inside of the salon. But at home, all I was a leader, and I had to be a leader within the reins of developing something that would help us to continue to move forward, generate income, and give us hope. And so, you know, that was a great part of us and a test for us to understand as business owners that business continues to run. And that when you are faced with a challenge within that business, then what we have to do is that we have to create a solution to that challenge so that we can pivot, but still be able to sustain the clients and the customers that we have built within that business. So I hope that what I actually shared with you guys have been is helpful to you in your entrepreneurship journey as a business owner in this Baltimore metropolitan area. And what I do know about business is that when you create a foundation, when you know who you are as a business and you operate in your business culture, when you lead by your passion and your love, then and operate in principles and values, then what you will get in return is compensated, and you will get compensated for your work. People will value you for who you are, and you will be able to sustain yourself as a company through a pandemic. So thank you so much for joining me. We will be celebrating, of course, our grand opening to a Virtuous Touch Salon, which is located in Baltimore area, Owens Mills. We are at 9433 Common Brook Road, and that is in Owens Mills in Brookside Commons, next to Artful Gourmet. And so we are having our grand opening, which is small, intimate, and COVID safe, on December the 20th, 2020, to celebrate the manifestation of our dream and our visions in the midst of this pandemic. And by the resources that was afforded to us through the SBA funding. So I am grateful to offer information. You can reach me or find me on social media as Danielle C. Giddens. I am operating as the Bankable Beauty Professional, which is sure to bring profit and success. And then you can reach me at a Virtuous Touch Salon and Spa, where we have delivered our baby, our dream, and our vision. And now we are operating in the manifestation of it, and elevating to the next level in which God is bringing us to. So thank you for allowing me to speak to you today about my journey as an entrepreneur, a business owner in Baltimore City. It has been one that has been gracious for me, especially since I grew up in the projects of Baltimore inner city and in poverty. And so, to be able to come through poverty, to learn so much throughout life, to um, building a foundation for my daughters. And that foundation came through my love and my passion through being a beauty stylist, and propelling forward and learning as much as I can, because we don't ever want to get to the place where we know everything. Every day is a learning aspect. And I think that we learned that as a nation this year, that never afford the opportunity, never miss the opportunity to appreciate those things that we took for granted, climbing up the ladder, and the ability to operate in hope and never give up. Never give up your dreams. Just continue to press forward, though you don't see it. You keep your integrity, keep your hope, and keep doing things righteously, so that you can become and get to the point that it will come to pass. So thank you again. Danielle C. Giddens with A Virtuous Touch Salon and Spa, where Takira Caesar and myself are the owners and operators. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.